We are talking about Todos HaKaren, which is in the first white line. Todos HaKaren is new sugya. It might do it last night, so you don't have to know last night to notice. Todos HaKaren, the subcategories. Do you have it? Fourth line, the first white line. Todos HaKaren. I'll look later for a better one. Todos HaKaren, Negicha, Negifa. The subcategories of Karen of goring are Negicha, which is goring itself, Negifa, pushing, the Shicha, biting, Revitza, crouching, Be'ita, kicking. The Chia means pushing with the body, as opposed to butting with the head. The Gifa is butting with the head, the Chia is pushing the body. So these are subcategories of Karen because it's damaging behavior without any pleasure. In other words, I'm sure the opposite gets the psychological pleasure, if anything, it's frustrations, but doesn't get physical pleasure from having engaged in this activity.
Instinctive also?
No, not instinctive. There's the Gemara never mentions the instinct as part of it. At least not this Gemara. It could be from the Bible. I don't remember though, but it's certainly not in the Yerushalmi Bava Kamma I've done so far. It's no raya. It hasn't come up. Rav Yitzchak gas. It's a very logical question. Negicha, Ikarain, they're primary. That's the Av. We're calling them Tolados. Really, the first two things, Negicha and Negifa, are the Av. Because actually the Torah itself uses the both languages, Ki Yigach and Ki Yigof. So those are both the Av, and it's the same Av, right? And the other ones mentioned here are the Tolados. Tolos Habor, what's Tolos Habor? So this is a fascinating thing. The whole third parak we're going to learn in this Masech is how to be Tolos Habor. So I'll be tied to discuss that. Right? Not right now. Now, the next line.
This is the line you need in the morning.
So, okay. So the next line, I debated a long time this morning how to learn the next line, whether to learn it here or to cut and paste it later on. I think I would like to cut and paste it later on, as the Shari Torah Eretz Yisrael suggests, but I will read it now anyway and then mention again later on. Rebbe Tani. Now, obviously there's a name missing here. It can't just be Rebbe. It's not Rebbe. Rebbe didn't say over Brises. So Rebbe, somebody said over the following Brisa. If you put a coal in the middle of Rishus HaRabim, and somebody else came and stumbled over it, and now this is not a case in the Bible. Don't nod your head. In the Bible, it's not. No coal. No coal. Not a coal.
Yes, the coal is a case in the second.
I don't think so. Bava Kamma over there. You can go take a look. I don't think so. I think the coal case is not there. But anyway, somebody else came and stumbled over the coal. So chisa biyado, and his bowl is in his hand. He burnt his clothing, and his bowl broke. And the cup, or the bowl rather, is chai because bor. Now what's bor? There was no pit here, but the fact that he stumbled over something is tantamount to a pit. And on the clothing which burnt, the liability of the person who left the coal there is because of Eish. Okay? Now the question is why exactly this comes here in the middle. It's a good question. That's why the Shari Torah is going to cut and paste it later on. Okay, we'll leave it for right now. Tolos Harego. What a Tolos Harego? What's a subcategory of trampling? Now trampling is Tani, but so trampling, of course, what begins with trampling? And which enters another private domain. There's no regal in Rishus HaRabim. There's only regal in private domains. Okay, not in a public domain. Went into somebody's private domain, and while there, Zika was damaged. Bein piyoda, bein baragla, whether with its forelegs or its hind legs, right? Yoda is its hands, ragla is its feet, but it's means it's forelegs and hind legs. Bein bikrona, or with its horns. Now, the Gillian Ashas points out that, of course, horns you would normally say is Karen, right? which is separate. But it's talking about not where it gored, but rather while it was walking, it hit something with its horns, right? So it's the same thing like trampling. It's not that it went and gored something, but rather while it was walking, it was damaged. Now, this is not like the Pnei Moshe. That's clearly in the Shas. It's not like the Pnei Moshe. I think the Shas is correct. The Pnei Moshe wants to say that this Bryce is going like Rabbi Tarfon, who holds that in Rishus HaNizak, Karen is Mishalim Nezek Sholim. So really, this is Karen. But since it was in Rishus HaNizak, it was in the Rishus HaYachid of the damaged party, so therefore you pay Nezek Sholim. That's why it's enumerated here. But the Pashup Shad is that here it's not Karen in and of itself, but rather Karen as a Tolot of Regel, and it damaged as it was walking by. Okay, the horn struck on something, whatever. So Bein Ba'ol Shaleh, and it continues on in that vein, whether it was mazik with an ol Shaleh, with a yoke which is upon it, Bein Mishliv Sheyesh Bo, or a cargo which is inside its pack. Ben Bagol Shemosheches, or with a wagon that was pulling. All of these Mishalim Nezek Sholim. All these are Nezek Sholim because obviously all of them are in the category of Regel. Again, not like a Pnei Moshe. V'amazik bekarmelis. It's interesting. This is something which is not actually discussed in the Bavli. What if the Nezek takes place in the Karmelis? Right, Karmelis, neither Shus Rabbi nor Shus Yachid. So Misham Nezek Sholim. Says Yerushalmi, Nezek Sholim. You pay full Nezek. Says more further. Tolodas Hashem. The subcategory of eating. Hamapoyel Meimer wanted to say like this, that it means the following, that a cow which eats barley. Normally cows don't eat barley. Normally they eat wheat or actually hay, wild grass, right? A donkey which ate cress, type of vegetable. Normally donkeys eat barley. And a dog which licked oil, which is also not its derech. And a pig which eat meat. We want to say Kula Toldos Hasher Sheininu. They're all Tolodos of Shein. Because we want to say that Shein is what it normally eats. And Tolodos of Shein are something which it doesn't normally eat. Okay? But it doesn't like that. I mean, it says Kula Niko Sheininu. Even though it doesn't normally eat it, the fact that it ate it now, that's sufficient to make it a Shein. So what are Tolodos Shein? Well, Tani told us Hashem, we learned told us Hashem, what are they? Fascinating case. I don't think this is in the Bavli, although there's a similar case in the Bavli. It stepped on a container full of oil, and it derived pleasure from anointing itself with the oil in the container. Okay? So it seems like the ox actually knew there was oil in the container, and it enjoyed having the oil spread on its body, and that's why it did it. Okay? So what's the sine qua non of Shein? Kamada Tamar Tamon Hashein Ochelos Baguf Dana. Just so we know, we say over there, by the Shein proper, it eats, and the body derives pleasure of Hachanena Guf. Here too, it's Hanosa Guf, which is the quality which define Shein and the logos of Shein. Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Yirmiyah asked, what if it was going and it was spitting out? It was like lahavdil. Well, I don't know so much lahavdil. Like baseball players chew tobacco and they spit it out. So mistama, they enjoy spitting it out, right? So that's for pleasure. So that's the shah, but it's not going in. It's not intake. It's right. Out, whatever you want to call it.
It's still destroying whether it gets pleasure or not.
No. But the question was the Tolada. It's Tolada of Shein and Tolada of Karen. If it's pure destructive behavior, there would be a Tolada of Karen. If it's the pleasure of regurgitating, so then it would be Tolada of Shein. Okay? So that's a Gemara. So Malach's Boletus Asabi Mau, and the Gemara doesn't answer. Now I said the Gemara doesn't answer. Again, I had a grave difficulty this morning trying to figure out how to go from Amud Aleph to Amud Beis here, because everybody has difficulty. Nobody knows exactly what to do. But two Mefarshim, the Shayat Eretz Yisrael, and a new one, Perush on Ezekiel, called Nesivos Yerushalayim, written by the chief rabbi of Leeds, England, around the turn of the century. Rabbi Deiches was his name. He was a Lutzvak who moved to England. So he writes, they both write that here we should have the words Ve'eza Toladas Ha'esh. What are Toladas of Eish? And here the Sha'ar Tereso plugs in the brisa for which we had Rebbe Tani over on Amud Aleph. And makes sense, because if you say Eza Toladas Ha'esh, so then where the guy fell over a coal and his clothing got burnt, we're saying that's Toladas Ha'esh. Okay, so he cuts it out from over there and plugs it in over here, which is in line with adding the words Eza Toladas Ha'esh. And then Rabbi Yossi says, no. He says, that's not a Tolada of Eish, that's Eish itself. If somebody puts a kol shus rabim, wherever the coal goes and it's mazik, that's part of Eish. We know fire spreads, right? So therefore, if you trip over a coal and the coal happens to hit your clothes and ignites your clothes, that's not a Tolada of Eish. That's Eish proper. So he says that can't be Tolada. So Mike Kadun, what is a Tolada of Eish? What is a Tolada of Eish? Rabbi Yossi Rabun said, Tipata, I'll give you a case like this. You put a knife next to Rishus Harabim. Now it's actually very fascinating. In the Bavli, the Tolada of Eish is you put a Avno Sakino Maso, very famous Gemara. You put a stone, a knife, or a load on top of the roof, and it falls from the roof. And the Bavli says that that's the Tolada of Eish, because just like Eish, you have to watch this thing. The quote exact quote is Koach Acher Meura Bo Umamon Chosh Mirasan Alecha. There's another power involved in it, just like fire that spreads through the wind, not through your activities. And so to hear this thing is falling off the roof with another power involved in it, which is the gravity or whatever it is, the wind. But it's yours. You set it. You put it there in place, right? And you were supposed to watch it, and you did it. That's the Bavli's the common denominator between the of Eish and the Tolada, a knife. But here in the Yerushalmi, the knife is not on a roof and falling, but rather it's on ground level, and it juts out into Rishus Harabim from Rishus Hayachim. Okay. That's important. The reason why it's jutting from Rishus Harabim is because if it was in Rishus Harabim proper, it would be a bore. Right? It would just be a bore. And there's no bore in Rishus Hayachim, right? But if you set a fire in your Rishus Hayachim goes out to Rishus Harabim, that is a liability, right? So if you have a knife sticking out from Rishus Hayachim to Rishus Harabim, says Yerushalmi, that's a Tolada of Eish. And why? What's the synchronon of Eish? Not like the Bavli. Fire touches something on one side, and then it spreads throughout the entire thing, right? If you light a table, right, the whole table will burn, right? So too of Hacha, so to Adam Nogem Mitzarecha, person with his knife. The person here, it says Adam, but it really means the knife which a person left there. Nogem Mitzarecha touches on one side, right? Then it pierces and runs the person through. Yeah. So the knife is the same thing, which again is not at all like the Bavli. It means spread. Yeah, it's good. The law comes from Gil Sester about it says that she was pierced on Nida. That's what Chazal say. But it literally has to do with hole. from lashon chalulim, right? So it makes something full of holes or burn something through. It's the same idea. Okay. Now, Rabbi Yossi Rabun comes up with the fascinating case. Now, I looked around here also until I found somebody. I just want to tell you, first impressions are very, very important. On Bava Kamma, for some reason, there are a bunch of perushim about Achronim. So I looked at 2 perushim today. One of them, the first thing I saw I didn't like, so I immediately dismissed it. In the Yerushalmi, the first thing I saw I liked, so therefore I like it. Why did I like it? Because he agrees with me in how to interpret the next thing. Which the more some of the Farshim say, like particularly the Rikbaz here says that Rabbi Yossi Rabun argues Rabbi Yossi. But to me it's Pashut, and that Rabbi Yossi Rabun, this Rabbi Yossi Rabun, Shem Rabbi Levi argues the previous Rabbi Yossi Rabun by himself, without any where he said in Maimer in his own name without attributing to anybody else. But to me it's Pashut that there's a continuation, and I saw in Sivas Yerushalmi says this. Rabbi Yossi Rabun Shem Rabbi Levi said, and this is also Tolad Avesh. This is a fascinating one. Bor Mole Maim. You have a pit full of water. And a small sheep falls in. Now, a small one says in the Yerushalmi is because if he's an adult, then the sheep is supposed to have enough seichel not to walk into water. Okay? It's interesting. They're supposed to know to avoid it. Okay? But a geekon is not supposed to know to avoid it. So it fell into the well, or to the bore, and water goes in through its ear. Now, I don't know why through the ear, not through the mouth, but through the ear. And it gets suffused with water. That's a tolada of Eish. That water, because it spreads. Because that's Yerushalmi's definition of Eish. Okay? So the kod is chalchel kulo, just like here by fire, it spreads. So to anything which spreads is considered to be a tolada of Eish. So even water can be a tolada of fire. It's amazing Yerushalmi.
Doesn't the Bible talk about the concept of Bor Mitzgalgal?
Yes, Bor Mitzgalgal talks about, yes, Bor Mitzgalgal, but Bor Mitzgalgal is not the same thing as spreading. Bor Mitzgalgal means the bore moves from place to place, but not that it spreads. Okay, that's a very basic difference. Spreading is not the same thing as moving.
What I have difficulty in this concept is that it was the fault of the goat, sheep, whatever.
Yeah.
The animal, just like it's the fault of the person that stumbled on the hot coal in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
If the fire was the prime source of the message, then I can understand that's Eish, because it spread to you. But here you came to it, you stumbled on the coal, and because of that your clothes got burned.
Right.
The goat stumbled into the water, into the boiling water.
Well, that's why Noam Alfred said it depends. That's why Noam Alfred said there are elements of bor and of Eish in that case. And here too, there would be an element of bor and of Eish here. We look at why it died. Or it's because it died because of the water that, it doesn't say it even died here, right? But it got damaged, whatever, water damage. So it got water on the brain. So because it got water damage, so that is Eish. So yes, you can have 2 elements involved. The question is what ultimately is what killed it. Okay? What did the damage? Rabbi Yirmiyah asks, this, if an animal is walking and it was uprooting grasses with its body and with its horns, Mao shinuyu, is that mishuneh? In which case, if it's mishuneh, if it's a weird thing, it's keren, right? Or is it darkolochein, or is that normal? Right, that's his question. It's not so simple, right? Is that the way it works or not? It doesn't. There's no explanation, and it's also not. The Maraponim brings on the bottom here says the Bavli never discusses this.
Doesn't the Bavli have where the animal brushes up against the fence?
There's chain. That chain because it does it to scratch its back. So that's Hanoah.
What about, isn't there like a narrow alley and you can't squeeze?
Only where it's rubbing its, rubbing
It's not
its.
just they're walking in and
No,
out.
but that's not this case anyway. This case where it was like intentionally doing it with its body or with its horn. So the question is whether that's the derech or not derech. It doesn't answer. Okay, new issue. Now the Mishnah said, the first Mishnah said, take a look back at the first Mishnah. It said the Mishnah goes through starting in the second line. Lo rea shor kareh mave, oxen are not like mave, which according to the Yerushalmi means keren. It's not like shein regel. Lo mave kareh shor, nor shein regel like an ox, etc., etc. And the Yerushalmi now is bothered. They're obviously not the same. There's totally different. It's partial. What are you telling me? Am I a moron? Do I not know that these are dissimilar things? Okay? That's just bothering Yerushalmi. This is not a question which I would lose any sleep over, but Rabbi Barachia did. Rabbi Barachia B'Shem Rabbi Shmuel Sabar Yitzchak said, Im lo ne'amar shor, ha'isi lo med shor min habor. If it does, it sounds like if I wouldn't have said shor, I would have learned short from bor, because it says, it seems like the Mishnah is setting something like that up. That I have to tell you that shor is separate from bor, and bor is separate than shor, and mav is separate from this, and all these things are separate. Why is that? It sounds like my mabor she darkulei chazik chayav l'shalom. I would have, it sounds like I could have said a kabel chomer. If a bor which doesn't move, yet and damage is in place, chayav l'shalom you have to pay. Shor is worse. It goes around in as mazik. You certainly should have safeguarded. Lokoshkin kavachomer you have to pay, right? So oh my bor, oh my bor, that's really. It's a little bit choppy. The Shaita so changes the gear, so I'm not going to bother. Says Mar, no, it can't be. Oh my bor, obviously they're not saying. And he wouldn't have been able to learn out from one to the other. Because on my bor, because if that was the case, from that short from bor, you would say ma bor mishayim nezik sholem. Bor, you always pay full damages. I've sure mishayim nezik sholem, right? So then you would have to say an ox also pays nezik sholem. And we know that that's not true, because how much does an ox pay the first 3 times? Chatzi nezek. Or ma shor mishayim chatzi nezek, and vice versa. I couldn't learn out shor bor from shor, because if I would say if shor pays have chatzi nezek, I bor mishayim the nezek and the chatzi nezek. Of course not, right? I mean, of course that's why I have to say bor.
So bor is there's no bor in the shiur.
Yeah, there are many other differences. That's true. We're just picking these out of a hat. So therefore, the bottom line is ilone mar shor isi lomet shor min habor. Or ilone mar bor isi lomet bor min hashor. No, it's what's the Mishnah saying? Lo reza, kareza. Of course, they're totally dissimilar. I can't learn anything from anything else. They're all different parameters. Yerushalmi. So why does it say take lo reza, kareza? You know, you have to be a moron to assume that they're similar. As a word, Islay Milain Sagin Kane. We have many places like this. That's literal meaning. But the way the Pnei Moshe most Achayim interpreted means that Yagdu Torah B'Yadr. We want to say words of Torah. We want to mention other differences, right? It's not that it's the only difference. It's not that only because the Chveis sure has Ruach Chaim as opposed to Bor, which is inanimate. That's why the law is to be mentioned separately. There are many reasons. But Yagdu Torah B'Yadr, let's give some other reasons, right? Even besides the obvious ones, we'll give some arbitrary other ones as well. And Yerushalmi goes on to tell us other places where the same thing occurs. For example, 2 brises in Torah's Kohanim. One is Lo Arei Moshav Karei Mishkav. It says in a certain brisa in Torah's Kohanim somewhere. It says, I think it's Torah's Kohanim, whatever, one of the midrashim on Torah. Lo Arei Moshav Karei Mishkav. Something a Tomei person sits on is not like something a Tomei person lies on. Lo Arei Mishkav Karei Moshav. Nor is something a Tomei person lies on like something which a person sits on. Says Mara, It's obvious that Mishkov is not like Moshav. But you have to tell me that they're not the same. They're totally different. In Moshav b'tefach yitma. If Moshav, the minimum shear of a seat is a tefach. As long as you have something which is a tefach, a chair which is a tefach, it becomes time because of Moshav. Yidma Mishkav, without tefachim. But how does it to Mishkav? Mishkav, the minimum shear of something to lion, I don't know how, I guess for a midget, but the minimum shear of something to lion is Dal Tfachim. So, I guess it counts as a pillow if it's 4 Tfachim wide, I don't know. But in any event, the bottom line is they're not comparable at all. Why have to be Lare, Moshav, Kare, Mishkav? It's obviously not comparable, right? Neshatami Mishkav, vice versa, Neshatami Mishkav, Barafal, Yidma, Moshav, Tefach, Vilu, Lonamar, Mishkav, we're not to have said Mishkav, Haisi Lamed Mishkav Mina Moshav. We're not to have said Mishkav, we'll learn Mishkav from Moshav. You learn Amar Moshav, we're not to have said Moshav, Haisi Lamed Moshav Mina Mishkav. We couldn't learn one from the other, they're totally different parameters. So why does that Brisa there say Lo Arei Mishkav Moshav Kare Moshav, and it doesn't bring down here what the Brisa says besides that. Obviously the Brisa gives something which is not brought down here. Why Mishkav and Moshav are not similar? What the difference between the two is. And the Gemara is saying, it's obvious difference. Two totally different shiur. What do you mean? So, so therefore, why does it say, nevertheless, Lo'arei Moshe Kare Mishkav, and give some sort of other difference there? The East is Sagin Miling, Yad Torah Yadir. No, it tells another difference. Avada, there are differences. We'll learn more differences, the more the merrier. Says, Cain, so too similarly. Lo parshas neiros kare parshas shluach tmeim. So it's an amazing brisa. The brisa says the parsha of Neiros, where it says you're supposed to light the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, is not like the parsha of sending the tmeim out of the machane. Right? Now, of course, they're not similar at all. Right? What kind of moron am I again? Yerushalmi is saying, right? Lo parshas neiros kare parshas shluach tmeim. And lo parshas shluch tmeim kare parshas leiros, and not the parsha of saying the tmeim out of the machane is like the parsha of lighting the menorah Beis Hamikdash. So that's more. What are we talking about? You learn our parsha shluch tmeim, or you see lamed parsha shluch tmeim, parshas leiros. What if it not? It said, come on, it's like a joke, right? If it not had said parsha shluch tmeim, wouldn't learn parsha shluch tmeim from parshas leiros. One thing is linked to the other. This is a great place to darshan. What the neiros of the Beis Hamikdash have to do to say the tmeim out of the machna. I don't know. I didn't think of it. But Naaman. That must be the parallel. So why Taka does it say that they're not similar? It's Posha they're not similar. So the Tznuye Milan Sagin came. In order, again, Yadu Torah Yadir, in order to make the following point, right? Hatzad Shavah Shabohem, because there is a commonality between the two of them. The commonality between the two of them is, and that's why it says they're not similar, but there is a commonality. We want to get to that point that's expressing the commonality. What's the Tzad Shavah? The V'lom Nisa'al, the Yisrael Milin, Susagin Milin, Mina Kain, Hatzad Shavah Shabohem, the common denominator to them, Shem B'tzav, Hashem commanded them, it says Tzav by both of them. The word Tzav appears in the Torah by both of these. And Miyad, it was to be fulfilled immediately, Ula Doigos, in 4 generations. And from that we derive, of course, since these two totally dissimilar things are mitzvahs which are given immediately and for all generations, of course, so to the entire Torah, Shubit Tzav is commanded Miyad for immediately and Ludoros for all generations as well. Okay? So that's why parallel is made, not because that's why the distinction is made in order to get to the parallel, right? Even though the distinction is obvious.
Yerushalmi is saying that this is how we know Kol Torah Kula applies to all future generations.
What?
Did you just say that?
No, I think the stress is on the miyad. It's immediately. It's not. Doesn't wait till they enter Eretz Yisrael. That's, I think, the stress is on the miyad. I'm not sure about that, but I think that's the stress. So, in any event, says the Gemara, but maybe you're right. Maybe the stress is that the Tzav Mi'aldoros is on all generations, and that even when they're outside of Eretz Yisrael, it has to be that for Eretz Yisrael. I assume the stress is on immediately. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Law, our old buddy Rabbi Law. Rabbi Law says, Sarachu Shiamar l'kol echad ve'echad. Rabbi Law says, of course, each of the Nizakin has to be mentioned independently. Now, this is not a continuation previously, it's kind of like a new thing. It says each one has its own unique qualities. First of all, Hashor Malamid Shabalim Metalpin in the ox, the case of ox is its own unique quality. Teacher said Bali Metalpin in the owner has to deal with the carcass. This is one of the halachas in Bava Kamma which I've always found unfair, but it's not up to me to make the halachas. Particularly since the Torah itself makes this halacha. But if my ox gores your ox to death, then part of my payment is the carcass. So I only pay you what the difference between the live animal and the value of the carcass. The carcass is your business, your affair to take care of. So you have to schlep it with you, to dispose of it. It's not my achrayus to get rid of the carcass. Okay? So as I've told you past, there's also a basis of Allah, if I shear the mirror off your car, right? Remember we've talked about this several times. So I don't pay you for a mirror. I pay you the difference between the value of your car with a mirror and the value of a car without a mirror, right? Because I may see you still have the car, right? I'm paying for the damage which I caused, the value of the car. That's the same idea. Okay? So even now we know this is true, because it says, by mace yellow, it says the mace is his. Whose? The nizaks, the damages. Uksiv bor, it says also by bor, by mace yellow. By bor also tells us on mace yellow, the damage belongs to the damagee. Tani Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel said, Yotzu karkos she'ena metaltlin. Since it says by bor, by mace yellow, it excludes karkos which are not metaltlin. Why? Because it sounds like you'll be able to cart it away. As opposed to cart, you can't cart away. So all the unfortunate will go crazy. Actually, it's a Rashbury, it goes crazy. Well, where is there such a concept as karka being damaged in a bore? You can't damage karka in a bore, right? You can't say, I went and dug in your backyard a bore, because bore by definition is a damage in Rosh Hashanah. Right? There's no bore in Rosh Hashanah.
Or if you put the bore, some chemicals in the bore that seeps out of the bore into the karka, it can damage the karka.
That's not a bad shot. Nobody thought of that one until you came along, at least. But yeah, I don't think they had that concept.
West Farmers Park,
they didn't have that concept back then. It's a good shot. I like it. The Pneumoch comes up with a different shot. It's really based. What?
It's a reflection.
Yes, based on a Rashba, which is that you dug a bore in Rosh Hashanah in order to you dug a bore next to Rosh Hashanah in order to make a foundation for your own house. And through that, the karka of Rosh Hashanah fell in. So what? Undermined. So in that case, according to the way the Moshe explains again, the name of the basically the name of the Rashba. So in that case, you don't say Amesi Elo, but you don't say, well, here is your broken land. Take this back, and I'm just going to pay on top of this. Rather, you have to fix everything back the way it was. It's still a difficult shot. So I saw that the Mashbiach says a nice, much glatter shot. He's saying this is going back on shore. If a shore rubbed against a wall and broke down the wall, So we don't say Amesi Elo that it's going that you say to the owner of the house, well, here are your stones, I'll pay whatever is on top of the stones. No, in that case you have to pay him for the complete wall. Okay? So that's how he wants to. We don't say Amesi Elo in that case, in the case of a shiur which knocks a wall down. Okay? Also, Yotza Adam, Shein Lo Hanoya B'Moso, that also precludes a person. In other words, if a person falls into a bore, then and is damaged, you don't say Amesi Elo. Why? Because you can't derive any hanor from a mace. Okay? Now, this is a larger pshat. The larger pshat is that it means that there's no nizkei adam by bore. If your person falls into a bore, you don't pay for that because you can't save Amesi Elo. And if a cargo gets damaged by a bore, you don't save Amesi Elo. And therefore, for sure, rubs against the wall, and it's not shame. You wouldn't say, but rather Karen. He wouldn't be chayav to pay because you won't say Amesi Elo. Because the only way you could say Amesi Elo that the dead body goes to the owner. So then do I say that there's the chiv to pay? So the Bavli learns that there's no nizkei adam by bore because it says on Dafnul Gimel Bava Kamma because it says there shor v'lo adam chamor v'lo kelim. It says in the Torah it says a shor a chamor falls into a bore. So for that we learn shor lo adam, not person, chamor, not kelim, right? But the Yerushalmi has a different shot here. The Yerushalmi says how we know that there's no nizkei adam by bore because you can't say Amesi Elo. Because you can only say Amesi Elo if obviously you can give the carcass. Let's say of an evet to the owner to derive hanor from, but you can't do that because it's also derive hanor from a mace. So Mara Panim here is very long. Talks about by Nakum you are allowed to derive hanor from a mace. Well, we're not going to get into that now anyway. So Kashas is talking about that. Yeah, translate. So for Aish, and what does Aish teach us? Ma'amedes al kulam, it teaches us on all of them. Shuchayev al onsim, that even if it was an onus, because fire you can't control it once it started. You're an onus, but nevertheless you're chayev. So to any of these shor, bor, you're chayev even if it was an onus, even if you was beyond your control. What your ox went out and did. So the Maisa, what he's really doing is going back to the question which Yerushalmi asked last night, Rabbi Law. So going back to the question Yerushalmi asked last night, why do we have these four categories in that Mishnah? They're arbitrary, right? It could have had 5, could have had 3. It could have included all of the nizakin of ox in one shor, and left out maveh, and shor would include then karen, shein, and regel, in which case it would be 3. Or you could have had the vice versa. You could have had 5. You could have said shor, keren, shein, regel, aish, and bor. So what he's saying is that we need to have shor and bor and aish separate because in each one of them we have to learn about separate things, right? Amesi Elo, and about onsim. And obviously once we unpack those, so then we leave shein and regel are left in their own category, because there's no concept of Amesi Elo, right? So that's why our Mishnah has Arba of his Nizikin. Okay? Piska. Kshihizik chava mazik. When damage has occurred, the mazik must pay. Rabbi Yosef said, Adam Ras teaches us. Now this is going on in Gemara later on. The Tzinu Shalim brings it down. The bottom, the Gilead and Ephraim, the back brings us down. Later on, in Parakim Halacha Tes, and Daf Tezayin Rav, there's interesting halacha. It says that if you have 2 oxen who are tamim, who damage each other, actually, let's talk about 2 oxen which are more. You don't have to look if you want, but Daf Tezayin Rav, the bottom Mishnah. It says you have 2 oxen who are muadim, and they butted heads with each other. They damage each other. So then, whoever's more damaged receives payment above whatever cancels each other out. In other words, let's say one caused damage of $400, another caused damage of $500. So the 400 cancel out, and the extra 100 is paid by the one side. Now this is only true if this happens simultaneously. What if I come and I hit you, and you hit me back? So in that case, do you have to pay me? Above, let's say I hit you and I caused you $50 of damage, you personally, and you hit me back and caused me $60 worth of damage. So the law is, according to most Rishonim, you're potter. Why? Because you're responding to being hit first. So you're potter on that. Now, I'm not so sure why you're potter, but you are. It's considered be like self-defense, and that's okay. All right. So in order for both sides, but if I hit you and you hit me simultaneously, right, then it's the same halacha like the oxen. In other words, whoever's more damage gets more payment above whatever cancels each other out. Okay? So that's what he says here. It's like the oxen. He says, that Mishnah in the third paragraph is teaching us, a person who beat up his friend first, even though afterwards he got more damage. In other words, I hit you and I caused you $50 of damage, and you hit me back and caused me $60 worth of damage. I pay you the 50, you're potter on the 60. Okay? It's an amazing concept. Okay? That's what it says here. How do we know this is true? Because it says and more importantly, it says the end of the pasuk, Adam, you must. There's a linkage drum between Maka Adam and Maka Behema. There's a parallel drum between the two of them. The parallel drum between the two of them is to teach us the same thing like by animals, I'd say by human beings. And by animals, if it's simultaneous to cancel each other out and you pay the difference, by human beings also it's simultaneous to cancel each other out and you pay the difference. But if they're consecutive, one hit and then the other hit, then only the first one hits, not the second one of hit in retaliation. Okay? Nice chiddush. And so I don't make call this from the Bible at all. Ayachina said, Makabema Yerushalmena. Now getting back to the concept of Mesiya Lo. Makabema Yerushalmena, Yerushalim Pachsa. Now this is about where I hit an animal. An ox, I see somebody else's ox and I hit it, right? So Makabema Yerushalmena, Yerushalim Pachsa. Let's say I cost it $50, it'd be worth $50 less. So I pay you $50, okay? Again, I don't give you another ox. I pay you the difference between what it was worth before and what it's worth now, right? Bar Padoy Omer, now this is very, very strange what Bar Padoy says. I really don't fully understand the way he does it in the pasuk. It says in the pasuk, and it's cryptic pasuk to begin with. The typical pasuk says, Im taref yivyehu eid hatrefah lo yishalem. It says, if the animal is played by shomrim, if the animal was ripped up, you bring the animal to court to show that it was ripped up, by some act of someone. The animal, there's nothing you can do about it, and you don't have to pay the treifa. You, the shomer, don't have to pay the treifa. Even the shomer zachar doesn't have to pay for treifa. Only shomer has to pay for treifa. Makom treifa lo yishalim. Instead of aid, if it's going to be if it gets ripped up, you bring it up to what it was before. Makom treifa lo yishalim. But the place where it became treifa that you don't pay. Meaning, if it was worth now as a treifa $50, it used to be worth $75, you pay up to the $75. We add on the $25. But that which is worth as a treifa, that you don't pay. Only what's above and beyond what it's worth as a treifa. Amrei Nasser, Rabbi Nasser said, Tzurach Allah the Rabbi China, but Tzurach Allah the Bar Padoya. I need both that which Rabbi China said and that which Bar Padoya said. And Bar Padoya is talking about, how so? Ilu Samas Rabbi China, where it said Rabbi China, but Lo Samas Bar Padoya, not have mentioned Bar Padoya. So I would have said, Ayisi Omer, Lehechshin is okay. Now besides that, it's interesting how we're darshan this positive as well. So once we add in the word Makom, we darshan the word we added in. And we say that Bar Padoya is not talking about case where I beat the animal up. But it's a place where I put the animal with a sherman, I left the animal in a precarious position. and it got hurt as a result. The same halacha applies, that I have to pay for the difference between the current value and its previous value. But it's a different circumstance. Which should be more onerous, but Pasha's more onerous should be the case where I went to punch the animal, as opposed to leaving the animal in an exposed location. Okay? But nevertheless, it says here it's the same. And that's what Rabbi Nasser is coming to stress. Ilu, again, third line down. Ilu Samas Rabbi Chini, where just learned Rabbi Chini's statement about punching the animal. So Samas Barpatai, not Barpatai, statement where I left the animal in a dangerous location. Later I would have said, Lehechshen is okay, lo yishalim klum. It's that for causing damage, you don't pay anything. Only in this kegufa, and only if you damage yourself, right, by hitting its body. Shatter so changes the niske gufo, but you get the idea. Then you shine pachsa, then you have to pay the difference. Having tzorach u'shiyom barpedayah tzini barpedayah to tell us that you still you need barpedayah. Yeah, barpedayah the second one to tell you that you pay even if it's a location issue, not your own personal damage. And even though it's like a grumma, right? Because it's not really a grumma, because you're shiur posher and you're shmira. That's it.
It's like a secration also.
Yeah.
You do something, you know that you...
But here you're chayav because you didn't keep your shmira. You were supposed to be shomri, you didn't shir b'shomri. And O'ili Samas Barpedayah, where to mention just Barpedayah's case, where he left in a precarious position. Where Samas Sachin and Rabbi Chini's case is not mentioned, the case where you actually personally punched out the animal. I used to say the action is okay. That I would have said that where you prepare the way for its nezek, you shine back so you pay the difference. You in these cases, where you punch it out, you shine masako. I might say you pay the whole, the whole value, not just the difference. Rabbi Shiomar Rabbi China, so I have to say according to Rabbi China's statement over. The Tzai Shemar the Barpedayah and say Barpedayah's statement over as well. To say that whether it's direct or indirect, only pay half, not whole. Okay. It says Rabbi Yehuda b'shem Rabbi Shmuel said, "Ain't sham in lo legana v'lo legaza." When one reckons, now reckoning here means to deduct, to pay only above and beyond the value of the nevela. Right? Shami means to reckon the nevela. To reckon its value as part of the package, right? So we do that by nizakim, but ain't we don't do lo leganav. If I steal a goat and then the goat dies, so I have to give you a brand new fresh live goat. I can't say, well, your dead goat is worth something. I'll add on to the value of the dead goat, even though by nizakim you can't do it. Lo gazan, not to a burglar, nor a thief. A robber, nor to a borrower, only for nizakin you do this because it says, I may see a lot, especially as cause by nizakin, right? Vaniyomer, the Shmuel says, the Rabbi Yosef named Shmuel, af l'shoel shomim, even a shoel, you ought to do the same thing. In other words, if somebody borrows and the animal dies, so he returns the dead animal plus. He doesn't leave a live animal instead. The Bavli asks us a question: do I say the shol kain or not? And becomes the same conclusion though. That yes, by shol also shomim. You also reckon. I don't know if it's based on Paskin. I wasn't sure. Couldn't quite figure out why by shol shomim, not by other shomim. But that's what it says. By shol you do reckon the value of the dead carcass and you deduct it from whatever you have to pay. So it says Gemara, Avaba Maidali. It says Gemara, Abba concedes to be the point that also for Shoel, your Sham, Umanu Abba, who is Abba who Rabbi Yehuda is referring to, or Rabbi Yehuda named Shmuel is referring to, the Pashas is who's that Rabbi Yehuda is referring to. So Manu Abba, Rav, it's either Rav whose actual name was Abba. His actual name, right? So, or it's Abba Bar, should be Abba Bar Abba. It's in Yerushalmi changes. Or it was Abba bar Abba, Abba bar Abba was Shmuel's father, Abu the Shmuel. So both names have the names Abba, so it could have been either one of them who said this. Amr Chizah said, Nasa Ikot Tfela. Rabbi Chizah said that, which Rabbi Yehuda is saying that the great ones, either Rav or Abu the Shmuel agreed with him. He made those who are Ikar, meaning Rav and Shmuel Tfela, secondary to him. In other words, he's saying, I'm right. Those big guys, they agree with me. It's like famous time Rabbi Chaim Zimmerman came into say shiur in Baltimore, and he asked the Rosh. It's obviously a apocryphal story. I wasn't there, but he asked the Rosh afterwards, "Did you like the shiur?" And everyone said, "Yeah, it sounded good. It was a good shiur." So he said, "That's good that you liked it because Shkop, Trop, and Wasserman all liked it too." So this is a similar idea, right? He's saying, those Gedolim, they concede to me. Okay? So, amen. Asav Yerushalmi Shmuel, Rabbi Yehuda said name Shmuel, Ein Shomit lo Laganav lo Lagazim v'lo l'Shoel. He also says not a Shoel. They don't do Shomit Ellen Zokim, only for damages. Only for damages. So it says Mara Shoyim Kinizokim no, the Shoyim is his favorite. The Shoyim is on it. He says he says the exact opposite of the previous one. He says all other Shoyim other than a Shoel, you are Shoel. Before we said a Shoel, you're Sham, not anybody else, right? You're saying the exact opposite. We're Sham for everybody except the Shoel. The Shoel, since he's the most lowly Shomer, so he has to make full payments, right? You were saying the exact opposite before. So before we said a Shoel, you are Sham, and not anybody else. And obviously, I guess now looking back at it based on this Gemara, so I would say like this: that the previous Gemara held that a Shoel, since he has so much liability, so we give him a break, and we say, but he only has to pay. He pays the nevela and tax on top of that, right? Since he has so much liability, so we don't give him even more liability. He would say the exact opposite. A Shoel has so much liability, so we tax to throw the book in it, and he can't even give back nevela. He has to give back full live animals, right? Whereas other Shomrim, since they have limited liability, they'll have limited liability that they give back the carcass plus something else on top of that. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda Sholach Rabbi Lezer. Yehuda sent the message to Rabbi Lezer. Anas v'ganav v'agazon. Anas means like a bandit. A ganav is a burglar, v'agazon and a thief. Mal l'shen. Do we take the nevela into account in their cases? Somebody said no. Ain't shomim lo ganav lo gaz. We don't do shor shuma. The counting is a part of the deductible, not by a ganav nor by a gazan. Says nine shein shomim lehem. How do we know that by a ganav a gazan we don't deduct from them the value of whatever the carcass, right? Amar Bar Memo said because Chaim Shnayim Yishan. It says that when a ganav pays, he pays a live double. Chaim v'lo mason. He's got to pay the live animal. And if the animal is dead, he's got to give a different live animal. So, because the Torah through the book at Ganavim Gazlim said, even though other places we say that the carcass gets kept by the person who was damaged, but here we say we throw the book at him because there's a cause of what I said, Chaim Shnayim Rishonim. Chaim Lo Mesim. Akdum Gneva, that says by burglary. Because I don't know that by plain robbery that's the case. I said by Shiva Sageg Zela, it says he should give back the stolen object. So he says, Vidashna Kasher Gozal. He gives it back as it was at the time it was stolen. Right? So that's why he has to give back the live animal, not the carcass, and pack on the top of that. Okay, halacha base. Kol shechavti b'shmira. So anytime I'm liable to watch something, Yilshat is nisko. If I don't, I prepared the damage. And and even if Rishati mixes this golim, but I'm partially liable, by not safeguard properly. Chati b'tashlume nisko, I have to pay for the entire damage. Kashakol nisko, if I prepared the entire. It's the second. This is a funny Mishnah, the Bava Kamma Mishnah, but it's done in order to be remembered easily. The chaz v'shein b'hem ha'me'ilah also has to be property which, in order to be a chayah, because it can't be hektish. There has to be property which there is no me'ilah. Because of Shabnei Bris, also only Jewish property, not non-Jewish property. Because of Miuchadim, it also has to be owned by a specific person. Also, the Mazik, and it also says that this comes to include Rishus, which is designated both for the Mazik, or Rishus Hanizak v'Mazik. In that case, there's no payment. Rishus Hanizak v'Mazik b'Tashlum. If it belongs to both their partnership, then there is payment. Okay. So it depends on ownership of the property. He said, Ze Ashor V'Abor. It says anything which I'm liable to watch, that's talking about shore and bor. Because I'm liable to watch them, right? If you don't watch them, V'Eish Lo Tano. But fire is not included in that. Why is fire not included in that? Because the fire I think it means that you set somehow becomes yours. Well, like the Pnei Moshe says, we say Isha Mishum Chitzov. A fire is like your arrow, so it's much more direct. It's not that your shore went, which is not your arrow, or somebody fell into your board, it's not your arrow. Fire is not considered. It's not just Chati B'Shmiroso. It's something where I actually shot something, so to speak, and went out and damaged. You're my force. Right. So the Yerushalmi asks the obvious question on this. He says, Amar Yossi in case that's the case. So Eish le'echshen nizaka mekabel basrayas basraya b'der zu v'loikas. That's the case. It should be like any other zikit, and I should be able to get, in order for the guy to be chayav, so I should have to go and warn him. Right? Give him asroya, and if he didn't mekabel asroya, he should be flogged. Right? I mean, if he could now, of course, the old Achronim asked, so wouldn't you flog? Pay, right? So it must be talking about a case here where actually not all high, so that's the question. So it must be talking about a case. I don't remember what he answers, but I don't know if he does answer. I don't think he does. But it must be talking about a case where he was Makabal Hasroya. I don't know why it's Malka. I don't remember. There has to be a reason for it, but I don't remember what he says. You understand the question? The question is you just pay. So in Malka we say, Kol HaMishalim Meina Loika. What? Yeah, well, maybe it's about a case where just of what are you talking? No, it's not allowed for the talking there. The Rabbeinu Yoin and all the sons are from Lo Sibso, but there's no inherent law. I don't remember the Orisha says. If I don't know if he gives an answer, but anyway, we'll come back tomorrow. If I find anything, I'll let you know.